Hi everyone, welcome to another of my videos. Okay, about the job of a waiter and restaurant manager on river cruise ships in EU. Right, so before we begin about the video, what's the content? So I'm going to describe the requirements. I'm going to describe a little bit about the interview process, what you need to get for the job. I describe the service, I describe the duties, and all any other thing that might be actually associated to two of these positions. Why in EU? Well, I am actually from EU and I work here. Lots of people from outside work as well. Outside the EU, like I had a Brazilian colleague, I had a colleague from Egypt, I had a colleague from Russia, he got his visa, and of course you get colleagues from Asia as well. But it's mostly in the EU because, because Russia has great rivers, Egypt has a great river, China has great rivers, US has a great rivers, but the thing is, they're gonna only really actually gonna employ the people from that country, especially in US, because this has a US flag, the ship, and it's registered there, and that's why you need to be a resident or you need to be actually a citizen of the country to actually get a job there. Some companies do have the ships in Egypt and in China as well, cruises, but there's only two occasions I actually have heard of the people working there as well. It's like, there was a hotel director and he told me they have a cruises in Russia. He actually was there for a few weeks, a year, to cover the holiday for the hotel director, who was actually from Russia, so he was actually German himself. And then the English hotel manager from different company I worked with, he got the job, hotel manager, he got the job in China for about a few weeks to cover the holiday there for the Chinese hotel director. And you don't really get to mix, because they can get the people from that country to work there, and also in Egypt. There could be an exception, but you're not going to be really traveling the world. That's what I wanted to say, and I have my experience in the EU, and that's why. Shortly about me and my experience. So I worked for about 4 cruise lines, actually 4. I worked as a bar waiter, bartender, and a receptionist. And I also worked for 4 river cruise lines as a bar waiter, night auditor, receptionist, and I ended up my career as a cruise director. And now since 2 years I'm not actually on the ships. However, I do have this experience. I do online research for my website, siteforcrew.com. I'll mention about that one. So I do research as well, and I actually contact my colleagues who done the job, or who are actually doing still the job, who's still on the ships. So I get actually the information from the people who are doing the job. And of course I've worked with the waiters and of course I worked with the restaurant manager, but it's always better to hear from the people. So I contacted my friend, I asked him how it is last 2 years. So he worked for about 3-4 companies, and he told me everything inside out about how much are the tips, what's the service, and what the working hours and all that. This is not really to rub your nose on my experience, how many jobs I scored and everything. I just want to say it's created by the crew and it's for the crew. So it's for the people who want to be the crew. So that's the whole motive and all that behind this. Right, so about the requirements, a waiter, of course you need some experience as a waiter, and foreign language skills, they always preferably you have a German. All the other big languages, like, okay, Chinese, Spanish, Italian, French, English, and working languages mostly English, sometimes German, because there's lots of German companies and the ships go through the rivers in Germany, and German actually love these cruises. They actually are very accustomed to take them. Restaurant manager, of course you need the restaurant manager experience. Of course, if you're from the ship, as a waiter, and you're a good waiter, you want to be a manager, yeah, you can. It happened. I saw that somebody who was housekeeping, just housekeeping, cleaning rooms, he went up as a manager on the next one. Of course, the job on the land and on the ship is slightly bit different, but this is slightly bit different. Restaurant manager. If you're from land and you've been a restaurant manager, you can straight away apply for the restaurant manager's position. And of course, the language skills, German, are very highly appreciated on these jobs. that's about experience. And waitress, you don't really need to come from a hotel. You can be just on a high street, which is probably more money and more tips. Well, that actually is. I actually work with the people now in Germany and Switzerland, and I know how much they're getting tips on these jobs, which I'm probably going to make a different video as well, which okay, so these are experience and all this. You can be a trainee manager as well. I have seen that. I think he was a supervisor on land, and then he got the training for about months and a half or 2 months. I think this was closely actually 2 months. There was a guy who was going from one ship to another ship, and he was helping out for 2 months for the trainee manager, assistant manager, of course. And basically the trainee became a manager, and that's what it is. They don't actually have a supervisor position. That's the place is limited. You probably have about 200 guests and you have about 50 crew, and that's always pretty much the ratio, and that's the size of the ship. So you don't have a place for a supervisor on board really. I did saw the assistant manager, but that was only one company. So just to mention that, and that's what it is, and just to cover that, that's why I'm only looking at these two positions really. Okay, where to look for the job? Site4crew.com. So this is the website I actually created first, and then I created a YouTube video where I speak about the jobs and about several things for the people who don't want to read. They might want to watch a video about the subject. But it's something I can't put in a video, and that's what it is. It's jobs on a cruise ship, jobs on yachts, and jobs on river cruise ships. So basically it has a full list of cruise lines, river cruise lines, employment websites, not only the original websites where the guests go who book the cruise, but employment websites. So you don't really need to look through the websites and all this to find that. Of course, I list all the agencies and job search websites as well, where you can apply for the jobs where agencies or cruise lines use to publish the jobs and all this. There's a few other articles, and I'm gonna make videos about this, about visa requirements, when to apply. I'll just mention that now, lengths of the contract, and all these things. And of course, the difference between the cruise lines, yachts, and river cruise lines. But this is about the river cruise lines now. So the website is there; it's free to use, and it also have the job fairs directory where you can actually go on a job fair. There's many cruise lines come together, river cruise lines. That's a job fair, like they have a sort of an exhibition. You make as many copies of your CV you can. You put the new suit on, ladies put some dress on, nice one, and you hand out your CVs, and you can actually score an interview on a spot as well, so you don't really need to go through the lengthy process and all this. And I do mention to use the agencies, but it's not as bad as on land. They do actually get kickback from the company if you last for 3 months, so they get money for that. You don't pay the agency, but the agency is working with the cruise lines, river cruise lines, and yachts as well. So basically, you have more opportunities than applying for a single company. But single company, of course, is always good because some of them paid more than the other ones. Right, the interview process and after the interview. So the river cruise ships in EU, they start in the spring and they end up in the winter. So you can apply directly, or you can apply through agencies. Lots of cruise lines use agencies, so it's a common process. Of course, you do the interview, you do the Skype interview. They want to check your language. Then maybe some person who is doing it in English, they can actually get somebody who speaks in German. There's somebody in office. So once actually they went to the neighboring office. I don't know which one that was, and they got somebody who was native German speaker, but the office was actually in Lithuania, which is Eastern Europe. Of course, after that you need to do the medical. So the medical is actually very straightforward. You actually go to your family doctor, not a specific doctor, so it's not as bad as the cruise lines. River cruise lines, they just write, sign off the paper that you are physically fit to do the duty. And it was only one cruise line that the blood test, other bodily fluids, which you know which is, of course, and they did a Rengen as well, but it's really exceptional. Probably definitely not going to be you. It doesn't cost much. It's your family doctor that's going to do it. Flight tickets, you buy the first ones. You need to get them. That's after the interview, of course, and after the contract, you can get the money back for the ticket. That's if you last till the end of the contract. So maybe it's going to be your expense, and maybe so not. If you come back for the next year, of course, they're gonna give you the tickets straight away, so you don't need to buy them. Uniforms, usual thing: black trousers, white shirts, black shoes, black socks. Ladies as well, trousers usually, mainly, and of course, well, white blouse, white shirt actually, black shoes, and yeah, and you got me. Right, moving forward. Okay, benefits. So the salary for the waiter, so I spoke to my friend and I said, okay, what's the lowest and what's the highest? So basically the lowest he was getting is 1,070 and the highest he got is 1,400 a month. So it's a fixed salary, you get it in your bank account back at home. Or maybe the company is going to get their own card and own account set up. That can happen as well. But this is the range of the salaries he's getting now, and this is for the last 2.5 years that he's doing the job. He worked for 3-4. I think it's about 4 now. He changed a bit. But it's a good insight, so you can range from this salary. Tips he mentioned me, he's getting usually like 50 till 80 for a week, so it's not a lot. I have to be honest, it's not a lot at all. I know lots of people on the land is doing more, and I know that they're getting that because I'm night auditor, and I count the money and I count their tips, and of course I don't know what the cash tips are, but if they account from credit cards and need to pay out, or the room charge, I already know they made a room charge and paid like €60 already in one day. So that's your choice, and that's what it is. More tips: there's a tip box at the end of the cruise. They usually put some money in. There's a suggested amount, but it can vary from whatever there is, and it's usually about another €70 a week. Cruises can be 3 and 5 days, but it's about €70 again. Salaries for a restaurant manager is 1,500 till €2,000. That's about the middle as well. I asked another friend who worked as recession manager for another cruise line, so I actually knew the salaries. That's what he told me, and the guy who works as a waiter, my friend, he also told me this. Tips, as I mentioned, well, restaurant managers can get tips. They do the seating arrangements. They probably help out sometimes at the station, maybe come around, check on the guests and check the satisfaction. Maybe somebody wants a private table at the window, they'll give you a tip for that, but you don't have your station, so you don't have your tables really. More tips, yeah. Same thing, tip box, but you're getting the equal amount everyone, like captain, reception manager, receptionist, night auditor, housekeeping girls, they all get the same amount. So more tips, that's about 17. That's a tip box at the end of the cruise, and that's pretty much what it is. So the ranks for the waiter, yeah, that's the first line employee. That's no rank. There's no stripes, so not many privileges come with that. Rank for the restaurant manager is usually 3 stripes. It could be 2 stripes, but it's usually 3 stripes. So a captain is 4 stripes, hotel director is 4 stripes, and you have 3 stripes like a cruise director, the same rank. So for the first line employee, for the waiter, cabin is always shared. You never get the private cabin really. You can move in with your girlfriend if that's the case, or maybe that's mostly what it is. Cabin for the restaurant manager is always personal. There was one exception when I was working like many years ago. He actually was sharing it, but from my friends and from my experience later on, 90% or 99% is a personal cabin. So you have your own cabin, which is cool. And that's a crew cabin, that's not a guest cabin, so sometimes cruise directors and hotel directors get guest cabin. Not with the balcony, not on the second or third floor, but on the ground floor, and other benefits, holidays. Holidays are actually 2 weeks per year, so you buy your own tickets back home, and you go for a holiday. If you're in Europe, if you book your holidays, and it's usually in the summer, so that's what you get. You get 2 weeks. Restaurant manager is actually like 3 stripes, but they only have 2 weeks as well. Cruise director got 2 times 2 weeks, so he can book one long holiday for 4 weeks or 2 short ones for 2 weeks. Hotel director can do the same. A restaurant manager can do the same thing, but if you don't do it at the end of the year and you don't take your holidays out, you get the extra money for that. So some people don't actually take a holiday. Health insurance, yeah, you got a health insurance way on the ship, so they don't have a medical on board. They're gonna send you to the hospital, the one the company works with. You have insurance from, let's say, you have a Greek contract, you have a Romanian contract, you have Swiss contract, you have insurance there, and it's valid to Europe Union. So uniforms, yeah, you get uniforms there as well. Whatever there is for the waiters, aprons, jackets, official for evening, or like formal night. Restaurant manager definitely gets a uniform, so he gets an officer uniform, and it's usually like a jacket or something like that. Like, I don't know, waiter can get a waistcoat. Contract lengths, the contracts are all the same for both of the positions. That's for the season, that's for the spring till the winter. Some cruises, some cruise lines does the Christmas cruises or New Year's cruises. So you can actually get like couple 3 weeks maybe in the winter, and you can volunteer for that. You can get money for that. So yeah, that cuts off your break, but that's what it is. And you don't get paid for 12 months. Hotel director gets paid 12 months contract. Basically, he's not even on a ship, but in the winter he gets 12 months pay, so he's paid every month. I don't know about the other positions, but hotel directors definitely do that. There's the cruise lines that big ships have 12 months contract as well. And he actually got a 12 months. He was only a restaurant manager, but he got a 12 months contract. Of course, hotel director has a 12 months contract. I think the captains have that too, and so you, so in the big ships the contract is like 4 months and 2 months back home for the senior managers. He was only a restaurant manager for the Silver Seas, and then the company was bought by Royal Caribbean, and they cut all the 12 months contracts. So that wasn't, but that's not the case on the river cruises. That's only the one that. So that's why the contract lines. 3 meals per day, cold cuts, so you could be having a cold cuts in the fridge like there in a crew mess, which is like where the crew eats. 3 meals per day, breakfast, lunch and dinner. Yeah, so that's what you get. You get a food day off. Actually no, you're probably not gonna have a day off. Well, if there's assistant manager and manager, what it was in one company, they were doing like that. So one was doing breakfast dinner service, one was doing lunch service and the dinner service, so they got one service off. But it's almost impossible, really. That doesn't really happen. There's no supervisors. Waiters, my friend did tell me there was one company, he got always the breakfast off, so he got some breakfast stuff, and I think these guys for the breakfast, later on they were doing like something in the background, like polishing cutlery, polishing glasses or something like that. But that was only one company, and whatever companies I worked with, which are different ones, I did work with them 1 year, but then we separated, but now we like the best pals on a Facebook Messenger. So day off or service off, you don't really get that. So unfortunately, that's what it is. Right, about the service. Okay, breakfast is always a buffet, so you just need to clean the tables, and yeah, the drink service is there as well, so guests get some juice, whatever there is. Lunch service, yeah, there's lunch. I used to actually do, there's one company, he worked for it later on when I was working, so the bar waiters were actually doing the drink service on the lunch, the dispense drink. So, you know, we work in a bar in a restaurant, which is a second bar, like a small one. Then you give the drinks to the waiters, they make it, and so it's only one person do it. But basically he says, that was only one company, not anymore. Light lunch, that's something, well, you don't really need, because that's actually set up in a bar. You get the soup and sandwiches and like salads, so that's there as well. But that does the bar waiters or bar managers, so basically he's barkeeper. Dinner service, yeah, well, there's formal nights and there's informal nights, so yeah, that's a service, you need to do it. And of course the drink service, as I mentioned, the guys, the bar waiters were like doing the wine service and running around, but that was only one company, so you're going to be doing drinks, you're going to have your station, and you're going to have your runner. So that's how it works. So it's like runners and waiters, but they're all the same rank, really, they're not supervisors. Beverage service, as I mentioned, this is discrepancies between the companies. And embarkation day, that's something else. Embarkation day, it's like the day when the guests leave and new guests come on board, and you don't have a lunch service. So So basically you do the breakfast and then you help out with the luggage. So the people who are leaving, guests leaving, you need to help them with the luggage to the bus, different buses, different groups, could be the case, different booking companies. That's why you have different flights, different airports, maybe different time of flights. People coming on board, lunch, so if there's no lunch, restaurant manager is gonna go at the check-in place, and he's gonna have a table in there and do the reservations, the table assignments for the guests. So he's going to be a guest. All the waiters going to be running with the luggage, actually loading the luggage on a ship and delivering it to the cabins. Of course, the housekeeping does that. The reception helps out with that, and basically that's the difference between waiter and these can be very long days, and they can be really long days. Of course you have a break for the lunch, but really you're working all the way. Breakfast finishes, you do the luggage, you do your break, whatever there is, 1 hour, and you can have a loading as well. I mentioned about the loading later on, which is like when the food comes on board, it's usually stored for 2 weeks, and that can last for 2.5 hours or 3 hours. It's usually actually 3 hours. So you get all the food, frozen food, fresh food, like fruits, vegetables, and you get all that on a ship. So it can be an embarkation day. It's not really a nice thing to have, because it's better when all the guests are off the ship and somewhere out, like an excursion, like, you know, and then you have it in the middle of the cruise, then you don't have this service, and all this embarkation day is hard enough. More about the job. So I said, yeah, well, breakfast 6:30 till 10, pretty much. Maybe check in 30 minutes early. Breakfast 7 goes till 10, and then you need to clean the place. And you know, people on holidays, they come in late, 9:30, they sit till 10:30, so you can only start really cleaning like 10:15, 10:30, really 11 maybe. 11:30 or something like that. Check-in, that's the lunch. Lunch is actually 12:30 or 1. That's a bit later on because everybody has a late breakfast, but it can also be arranged by the excursion. So if there's an excursion and half of the guests are going on an excursion, which they buy or pre-book already, so the lunch is going to be later on, or they're going to do the late lunch later on, something like that. And the dinner, of course, is 5:30, 11, something like that, till 11, till everything is clean. You need to polish all the glasses. Maybe the glasses are polished in restaurant. You need to polish the cutlery. Maybe housekeeping is helping out with the cutlery to polish that. That's like not in a restaurant, and that's not in the kitchen. They do it in like crew mess where the crew eats. You might have this help, might not, and yeah, I talked about side duties. Let's mention these. Okay, well, the working hours, yeah, well, you're going to be working 12 to 13 hours. So the worst thing, I was working in hotel as a waiter. I was working in between. So in the high street, it doesn't really happen. You don't have a breakfast. You usually have, like, you know, lunch and a dinner. So you start before dinner, you get the restaurant ready, and you work till about almost till service, and you work your 8.5, 9 hours. And you have, of course, the break in between. And some people come in the middle of the lunch or later on at the lunch to do the evening service, and the restaurant's open. It's not like really lunch and dinner. There's between them, it's a la carte. So you're still going to be working 8 hours. In hotels, it's a bit different. I've worked in many hotels. I work in hotel now in Germany. I worked in Switzerland. I worked in ships many years. Worked in England and Republic of Ireland. Great experience and everything. But the worst thing that could have happened, I did the a la carte casual dining about a year, but it always were between two restaurants as well. So the a la carte, yeah, we did the straight shifts. We got some break. We did actually extra, like half an hour, or maybe actually 1.5 hours sometimes, really. So that's still not really, like, you know, it's not high street restaurant, so it's still like service. The fine dining restaurant, yeah, they had the breakfast, lunch and dinner. So the worst thing that could have happened, you should do the breakfast service. So you come in early as well, like 6:30, like something like that, and then you work till 11 till the restaurant is ready for the lunch, and then you have a break, and then you come like 5 o'clock to do the dinner service, and it works like till 11:30. So this is the worst thing, is split shift. It can happen to you in a hotel. But here on a river cruise ship, you're going to be doing all three services, and it only happened once when my friend said he wasn't doing the breakfast on there because they had the breakfast stuff, which I mentioned already. So it's going to be lots of long hours. So that's the truth, and that's most of the companies. And yeah. Side duties. Well, restaurant manager does the same thing. The service, he needs to be there. He needs to be greeting guests. He needs to go and check on guest satisfaction, but he's not going to be carrying any trays or anything like that. Side duties, stock counting. Okay, that happens once a month, so you need to see how many cutleries you have, how many plates you have, and all this. This is an extra 1 hour, so you have a teams counting this and that, and then putting in and seeing if you need any orders. Loading I already mentioned, so you need to load the food on. And this is going to be not in the service hours. It's going to be in between, and this is very hard. It's 2.5, 3 hours. You pass one by one person food from outside. You load it on the ship. It goes in a fridge in a kitchen, or it goes to the dry store for a restaurant store, or you got me. Okay, so it's an extra thing, so it can be a long day. Garbage party. Okay, so garbage as well is stored in the ship, and once a week, pretty much once a week, once and a half a week. Any port it can happen. You need all these bags of garbage, put them all out, and it usually happens on another ship or on land, and you pass over the garbage bags, and this is an extra job as well. So it's not really all that dreamy and shiny, full with roses and sunshines. Cruise show. Something I wanted to mention doesn't happen in all companies. They kind of do like crew actually enjoys entertaining people, but they're still working many hours. Like, you have these sketches about like drunk waiter and all this, and you have a guest, or you have another sketch, some kind of comedy sketch, like for about like 10-15 minutes. Like usually hotel director or cruise director is running it, then you come out and sing, like, I don't know, some sailor, all that. This is extra thing. They don't do it, but it's like one evening after service, and they give you like a couple of drinks or a couple of glasses of wine or something like that, and you need to be cheerful after like 12-hour service and entertain. But some of the companies actually choose not to do it. That's not really a show, and you're not a showman. Sorry to say that, and I know lots of hotel directors didn't like that too. More manager's duties, so orders. Basically, you just need to order like cutlery, whatever there is, napkins, and all this thing. So basically, you have your list. You just put whatever you need for orders. You give it to a restaurant manager or the receptionist. He puts it in a spreadsheet and he does the order. So it's a small thing, really. Meetings, every cruise when it starts, you have a meeting for the next cruise, so you think about what happened this cruise, what's gonna happen next cruise, which ports you're gonna be, when you're gonna do the loading, when you're gonna do this, something like that. It's a meeting, 1 hour a week. Officers welcome. This is something that extra manager does. So on a cruise, when a cruise starts, you have all the officers, 2-3 stripes, reception manager, housekeeping manager, reception manager, restaurant manager. They all are welcome, then they all present. Cruise director show. That's like about half an hour. So you introduce, you give your name and all this, and tell them what they do on the ship. So usually cruise director does. Farewell, that's an end of the cruise. That's the waiter and that's the manager. All the crew is coming out. Cruise director says this is waiter's name, this waitress's name, this housekeeper's name, housekeeping girl's name, and all this chef's name and all this, and you kind of there. That's well, supervising crew. That's manager's duties. So you basically see what the things are with the crew, how is the satisfaction, what you can do, what should be done differently, and you listen to them, of course. And occasionally you give a warning as well. So this is a tough job, what I have to say. Both of the jobs are pretty much tough ones. Restaurant managers don't really carry that. They have enough waiters, not like other restaurants when you have your own station, really. Managers as well, because you're not really fully staffed. Restaurants are fully staffed on river cruise ships. Long hours, I have to say. Money might not be that good as you think. Waiters' basic salary in Austria or in Germany or in Switzerland especially, it's quite big and all this. Lots of people do it for experience. I don't blame them. Lots of people do change. I have just spoke with my manager in Germany. He was working on river cruise ships, another company. From the 45 crew, 42 was changed. I was with the other company. They were asking for the waiters from our ship, but that was the same company, and the manager said, well, you know what, I don't really want to put my guys in trouble, because this was only a middle of the season, and half of the people, second time already, all the waiters were changing, so they didn't have any waiters from the beginning of the season. They all left I had two people I was close with. We opened the ship, we started the season. They said, we're doing this for experience, not really for the money. They always wanted to do it, but they didn't last only 1 month. And these things happen. Lots of people, it's not for them. That's why I wanted to tell you exactly what it is, what actually you can expect. It's also a good experience. My friend is enjoying this job. He's enjoying the pay as well. But it's a tough job. I did bartending for about 7 years. I did 1 year waiter. I do prefer the reception. That's just to mention, and I wanted to know what you can expect. So I probably wrote down everything there is. This is your choice. Do it for experience or maybe other. So this is kind of like completes everything. Site for Crew is there, guys. Yeah, you have the these directories. They're updated every year. So I think the companies do not in business anymore. Companies are new ones. I add them. So the list of the cruise lines is there. Site for Crew, you can use them. I do updates every month. It could be an article, it could be an update on a directory where you can look for the jobs or companies and all this. This is always there for you. Please check it out. As I mentioned, it's there for you. This kind of concludes my video about the waiter's job and about the restaurant manager job. So I wanted to give you the full overview of the job, about the duties and everything. I hope I succeeded a little bit. I hope you found it interesting. Check out the other videos about other jobs on the ships, which I've done, or I got some information from my colleagues, or I actually know somebody at the job that I was doing when I was doing different job. He was doing that job. It's always there as well. YouTube channel, check out interesting things. Well, okay, well, at this moment, I'm just going to say thank you. Thank you for watching, and I hope to see you on the next one. As always, thank you.